Hello, and welcome to another episode of Stu and the Nut, an online radio show and podcast focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We're here to give you an honest opinion, different perspective, and hopefully a few laughs. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on our chat room, via our Facebook page, and of course, on Twitter. Keep it funky. That's right, everyone. Keep it funky and Happy New Year 2019. Welcome, everyone, and welcome to my brother Toby over there next to me to my left. You're right. Hey, Toby, how you doing, brother?
What's up, my man? We are kicking it off. Bacardi 151, episode 151.
Boy, that'll bring back some memories
Bacardi
to some people, though.
No Bacardi for me. In fact, confession time. The commissioner of my hockey league and I have a thing going right now, and I got to stay sober for a bit. And
are you doing dry January? Are you doing dry January?
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm like.
I just heard about that the other day. I did not know that was a thing.
I got the black lung right now is what I got.
It sounds
like.
But
Happy New Year, my man. I kind of missed you. I missed your verbal assaults over the holidays.
Verbal assaults, dude. What are you talking
about? Like the sparring, the enjoyment.
Yes.
The banter that two brothers have.
That's right.
It's great to be here. We got some great people. Yes, RC. It's true. Rain. We got a podcast. This is episode 151. You should go back and check some out. If you didn't know, and now you do, you can find us on iHeartRadio, the YouTubes, iTunes. Where else are we at? The Twitch, the Twitter, the Periscope, Facebook
Live. You said iHeart, Spotify, iTunes.
Spotify. Oh, man.
Spreaker.
Spotify.
Yeah.
Spreaker.
Yeah, we're all over.
Or go to www.stewandthenunn.com and get all your irrelevant, irrational news there.
And don't forget, we're on the IG. We are on
the IG.
We are on the Instagram. We don't broadcast on the Instagram, but we put up pictures and do all kind of things all the time on the IG. We really like that. We're doing a lot of that. So
speaking of IG, want to give a shout out to Enlisted 9 Fight Company because they're a great sponsor. You can find them at enlisted9apparel.com. Find out the new stuff. They got some new Maddish shirts out. We don't do stunts, as well as 762. And some other things. America Knows How to Party. Some great shirts over there. Stu's wearing one tonight. I am not because I'm in the Southern studio, and I was doing some construction on the Georgetown Square earlier today. So I got a little work flannel.
You look
on.
Manly. That's right. You look. You got the beard. Is the hair still under that hat? Awesome.
Check out the flow, bro.
Look at that.
Check out the flow, bro.
You're close to man bun.
I'm going from flow to fro. I'm one haircut away from flow to.
Yeah, you look like you could be that shirt on. You look like you could be on the Duke Cannon website selling hair products and things for men, or what's that one? The commercials where the apparel company where the beaver attacks the dude and all that.
Duluth.
Yeah, Duluth. You could be a Duluth model. I think with that.
I should look into being a Duluth fire hose and model.
There you go.
I guess I'd have to give up my 5'11" pants, but I guess I could do that. For the right cause, I could do anything.
Cost or cause? Yeah. Hey, and like you said, you're in the Southern studio. I am in the Northern studio. And you may notice a little bit of change of scenery behind me. Around the Christmas break, we did some studio redesign. Well, you're going to be doing some studio redesign soon, I think. But some studio redesign. I got this bookcase behind me. I was like, I got all this stuff, great military stuff and other things. And I thought, I've never had, I got my flag as a backdrop, which is great, of course. But it's like, I didn't. You always see when people doing interviews, like when they're Skyping into news stations or whatever, they have like a bookcase behind them. So like, I need something back there to show off all my stuff. I see it, but no one else sees it. So I do have a little bit of a bookcase back there. I'm going to kind of give you guys a tour. Let me kind of move my mic here. I just want to, I got a picture of my son. I got some beautiful, look at these knives, Toby. I can show you this one. Look at this gorgeous knife I got for Christmas.
We're about to get
wooden
cut off Facebook for you showing
yeah,
weapons. Good
right.
job.
From Eagle River Knife Company in Alaska. Beautiful
Oh,
fillet
look at
knife
that
right
fillet
there. Look
knife.
at that. That is
And
gorgeous.
that's a good reputable company up there, Eagle
Absolutely.
River Knives.
Absolutely. And this one's
Shout out.
another one. This one's another one. Gorgeous.
Oh, look at
Gorgeous
that
knife.
Skinner knife.
Yes, yes. I don't even want to use it. It'd be a great knife. But yeah, I got some infantry stuff. I don't know if you can see it, Toby. I got a beautiful for Christmas from my from some of my family, a Humvee made out of a solid block of wood. It is an entire Humvee, wheels turn, 50 cal on top that turns, handmade out of an entire block of wood, up armor. So I put my little Jason Amarine and my other America Army figurines around it, all my dudes, which are usually in front of me and no one can see them. So I kind of made a little military shelf up there. Got my President of George W. and Laura Bush, my picture of them, signed picture up there up top. Got some flags, some other knives, some books like Lauren Bruner's book, and some of my killing books like Killing the SS, Killing Kennedy, some of those. Fearless from Eric Blem.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Fearless.
yep.
That's going to be a movie sometime soon, I hear.
Yeah, and
I keep hearing that, but
Chosen from Tim Payne.
oof.
Before the Bell from our good friend Doug Mullins' dad, who wrote that a long time ago. So a whole bunch of stuff. So a little bit of a backdrop. Maybe I'll change it up every once in a while. But yeah, so a little bit of upgrade, if you would, while we were away on Christmas. But it is good to be back, and be with you guys. I don't know why is my mom saying Tommy John? Don't they make underwear? Isn't it the underwear people?
I don't know. Tommy John's a surgery that pitchers get on their elbow, so I know she's not talking to me. That's an American affliction.
Okay.
Hockey players don't get that.
They don't get that. But anyways, yeah, it's good to be back. I didn't miss you. We took a break before episode 150. We did 150, and then we took a break for Christmas. But we are back now on January 3rd, 2019. Where did 18 go, Toby?
Bro, we kind of really skimmed over it really quickly on episode 150, but it went fast. And I just did the year-end roll-up for Veteran Outdoors. Shout out to the greatest outdoor adventure company, your charity.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do the year-end roll-up on it, I go through veteran by veteran, trip by trip. What was the location, what was the adventure, what was distributed, I go through all that stuff. And man, it went fast.
It did.
I think that's wise because we're always doing stuff. You are always traveling. I'm always traveling. Sometimes we travel in the same locations. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we go to the same country but different cities, and it's awkward.
One thing I think it went fast. I think the politics and the news cycle made it go fast because we talked about it many times last year. We would get off a show on a Thursday, and on Friday, Saturday, we're talking about ideas, and people were asking me, probably you too, what are you guys going to talk about next week? I'm like, we'll probably wait till Wednesday or Thursday because the news is going to change 3 times before then. And there were a lot more, we did a lot more political shows, if you would, or review on politics, foreign policy, national policy than we have in the past. But man, there was no shortage of it. And it seems like Thursdays were here every time we turned around. To be quite honest. But it just seemed to fly by. I can't believe 18. I don't know, man, if he's getting older, it's that way, or just what. But it just didn't. You were traveling a lot. Your weekends were gone. VOK keeps you busy, so I'll give you that.
It does in a great and wonderful way. But I think there's some wisdom to what you said. When you're a child or you're younger, you look towards specific things, and because you're looking forward to it or anticipating it, time seems to drag on, and you have these landmark accomplishments due to age. Turning 16, you can't wait to drive. So as a young man, as a boy, from ages probably 11 on, 12 on,
you're waiting to be a teenager.
You're waiting
13,
to be a teenager.
16, 18,
you're waiting
21.
to drive, and it just takes forever.
Right.
And then you're 16. Well, you're waiting to be 18 so you can start, sticking it to the man, i.e. making some of your own rules. When you're 18 and you're out on your own trying to make your own rules, you want to drink in America. So if those of you are like from the, country to the north, you're just laughing right now because you're like, I was drinking in high school legally. But the, going to waiting on that 21 and the anticipation of that age, it seems to take forever. And then after that, if you're a guy, you're waiting to hit 25 so your insurance rates drop.
Insurance, you can rent a car without your mom getting it for you if you had to rent a car.
Without having to ask your parents to rent a car for you.
But I think a new one's come up now, 26, because that's when you have to go get your own insurance because you can't ride on mom and dad's anymore because that's now 26. I think that's a new one. But after that, nothing matters.
Right. So you don't really have these major landmarks until you you turn 40, you turn 50.
Yeah.
And that time goes fast. And now you're no longer focused on your own individual things. You're just trying to keep up to your kids' accomplishments and your kids', benchmarks and, things. And it just goes so fast. And
that's an interesting perspective.
And it does. It goes by so quick. And
yeah, it was a fast
thinking
year.
About it's softball seasons, thinking about volleyball seasons, thinking about.
I'm in the middle of hockey season right now, dude. Yeah. We just finished hunting season.
Yeah, hunting season.
Last night after practice, we were talking to the boys, and I said, "Hey, we're going to be in playoffs next month. February starts playoffs." I'm like, "Season's 3/4 over. I mean, half over, full lengthwise. But as far as a regular season, we're 3/4 through. Like we're in playoffs already.
Yeah.
You guys gotta get better. That's what I was telling them. Right? You should be farther along. You should be farther along at this point. But
you should probably be performing better in practice.
Right. And now we're looking at, now what are we looking at? There's nothing really in February except a short month, and then everybody's looking like Easter, spring breaks, right? And then what's after spring breaks is Memorial Day. Boom, we're back in the summertime, right? It's going to be, but it just seemed 18 for some reason. I don't know, just seemed to go faster than anything else. And for me personally, Toby, I've got one left at home. My other ones have all moved on. You would think that it would make it go slower, but it seems like it's going faster because, even though he keeps us busy, he's a junior in high school. There's a lot going on. He's a very active young man. But but now we're working on driving. We're doing all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it just seems to go by quick. And man, who knows what 19 is going to bring, huh? Who we can't even.
Well, I know it's bringing great things. I had the awesome blessing to hang out with the crew on New Year's Eve, and which is funny because you meet together shortly after work, you have a cocktail or a beer. We went and ate dinner here on the Georgetown Square, and then went back to Mesquite Creek Outfitters and hung out with the team, and then went our separate ways, went to bed, basically went back to, Fort living room so we could watch the ball drop on, television. But, Cody, Brad, myself, Joe, you took a few moments there, Mesquite Creek the other night, and, we just looked at some of the things we have coming up in 2019, personally, professionally. And this is one of the most exciting years. And it's been a while since I've been so excited about what's coming in the year. I want to say going into 2018, I was like, man, there's a lot going on. And I was just kind of, I hope I can handle some of the things that are happening. I just didn't have that vim, vigor, that I'm having right now. Because right now I'm just fired up. Like 2019, like we've made some big moves. We're taking, big swings at stuff, and I dig it. I dig it. I like the challenge, and I'm excited for 2019. And, we have a pretty solid team. When you look at all the different things that you and I are involved in, all the way up the East Coast with you, all the way down here with me, and then the things we do together, it's just exciting to know all the things that we're involved in and all the people that we get to witness the year with and live the year with. And so 2018 wasn't a bad year.
No, we look at how much we grew. I think we were on Facebook Live and maybe a couple things, Spreaker and stuff at the start of 18, I believe. And look where we're at now. We just talked about the start of the show, like four video venues. We're much more than just a podcast. We don't even call ourselves a radio show anymore. We're just the show. because we're pushing on 4 different video outlets, and we are 4 or 5 different audio outlets, and people are picking us up. They got us on their feeds and so on and so forth, and that was all in 18, and just you and I, no producers, nobody else, while we have full-time jobs and full-time family lives and everything else, making all that happen. So yeah, I agree. Who knows what 19 is going to bring? We brought on quite a bit already this year. So
Well, we got a great guest next weekend, right?
yeah,
We got a great filmmaker that's returning that we're both huge fans of. You've actually been featured in some of his work, and it's on a subject that's near and dear to my heart as well. So I'm really excited about that. January's we're both kind of tied up with traveling and different things. So the show times we'll have to figure some things out. But man, with looking at some of the authors we got coming on, with some of the filmmakers we got coming on, maybe a cool crooner or something coming on.
Yeah, we could be doing that.
It's pretty exciting, and
well, we've had some great historic guests in 18, and we're planning to bring them back in 19, God willing.
Yeah, hopefully we can talk to Lauren Bruner,
yeah.
Before he passes, and I really hope so. The
and Paul, who we had on just a month or two ago,
yeah.
and others. But yeah, it's you mentioned January, so before we get into a few topics, I mean, we do have some changes in January. I think we have definitely one Thursday we won't be on the air because you and I are both going to be traveling and unable to make it, but we will be able to see each other in January, which is very excited about. We're going to be able to exchange some gifts and do some things. And kind of a late Christmas, but that's all right. But I still have my Christmas lights up. I'm looking up at them right now, going off outside on my camera. So, because that's the way I'm gonna roll.
Yeah, well, it's because you were late putting them up.
I was late putting them up.
Let's be honest, Clark. You were about a month late getting them up.
I was.
You barely get them up on time.
3 days before Christmas, they started going up. But yeah. I do have a freezer full of venison. That's all I'm gonna say. I got a good excuse. So,
America.
But they may stay. I threatened my wife. I'm going to keep them up to Easter. And I play music of mine, as you know. So I program the music and all that kind of stuff. So me and my son are trying to figure out what can I play for every holiday.
You need to put that on our IG page. You need to film it and put it on the IG page.
I probably do.
You need to put it on the Facebook page.
Maybe I'll go out and film it tonight because it is playing. But yeah, it's we were trying to talk like, what do we play? Like, St. Patrick's Day, we'll keep it up. We'll make them all green, and we'll play like Flogging Molly's, right? And Easter, I don't know what we play for Easter, but bunny music, I don't know what that is. Valentine's Day, make them all red, and just play some sexy music like we had at the start of the show. Some Marvin Gaye and some.
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on, yeah. Just
the neighborhood would love that. The neighborhood would love that. Like, Mommy, what does the Stewart's house always play that good music that Dad starts shaking his head to?
Why are you and Daddy going to bed so early? Yeah, that's it.
As Big Daddy Combatives calls it, like topless wrestling.
Yes, but anyways, I don't know how we got off on a tangent, but how did we get on that? We got on Christmas.
I don't know, but we got lots of things to talk
about. So hey, today was January 3rd. Congress is back in session. Government's not really working. Apparently, the non-important part of the government or something. The important parts are Congress is paid for, DOD is paid for, and the mail service is paid for. So everything else is kind of in a holding pattern. But
shout out to our chat room, our main man Steve Fletcher, Space Commander NASA Steve, not working right now. He's hanging ceiling fans for his good-looking wife.
There we go.
Shout out to my man not working.
So it's it is the Congress came back in. Nancy Pelosi took the gavel back today. I would love to take that gavel and do something, but anyways, I can't watch her smile, man. It just it flares up some PTSD or something. I don't know what it is, but I always wonder if she has a mint in her mouth, though. She always seems to be chewing on a mint or sucking on a mint or like a toothpick or something. It really drives me crazy. But anyways, so she's back. Dems are in power of the House. They already had one guy introduce impeachment bill already. I mean, she hadn't even taken the gavel yet. They're already starting. It's sad because they can talk about bipartisanship and working together and crossing the aisle. But I mean, they're not even letting the dust settle on the gavel there, and they are already trying to start impeachment stuff. They're already talking about how they're going to stop this and do that and do that, and it just tells the American people, by the way, many which voted for the president that were Democrat or independents, that guess what? You're really nothing's going to get done for the next 2 years. We're about to get through all this again, and the news cycles are going to run nonstop of just chaos and accusations and leaks and all this kind of stuff. And then we see the editor from the New York Times comes out and says how they just went this whole anti-Trump thing because it just generated revenue and it was financially beneficial to do it. So it's like, okay, wow, it's like, it's one thing that you're going to be one-sided, but you're not even one-sided for beliefs or morals or values. You're truly doing it for the almighty dollar. And it just it's that part of 2019 is really discouraging for me. I don't know about you.
Well, I imagine that there's like I saw a pretty funny meme. I haven't watched it yet, so like I don't know what all the hype's about. But this new movie Birdcage, I guess you have to like have a blindfold on or something like that.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that over the weekend. I
yeah,
don't know what it was
apparently
about.
it's the big thing right now, and I saw one earlier. It's like someone's like blindfolded, and it's like this is how the evil gets you, and then you look, and it's because like Nancy Pelosi's like next to the person with a, So I imagine if there's one for Nancy Pelosi, there's probably one for Trump. Like each side probably have a good meme war going back and forth.
How many are
for?
How many are
Bird Box? Bird Box.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
How many are for Ocasio-Cortez though? That's
Oh man. She is the she's the gift that keeps on giving.
She is. She's gonna make Dan Quayle look like a member of Mensa when it's all said.
Like I predict. Well, it's not a prediction, but it would crack me up if like the Beto O'Rourke and her ran like some kind of they were on a ticket together. That would be hilarious. That would be a lot of Saturday Night Live.
So let me ask you this real quick, Toby. There's a lot of talk of 2020. There's talks of 20 to 30. I mean, it's still 2 years away, sort of, I guess, less than 2 years. But there's a lot of talk of 20 to 30 Democrats in the running, and I wonder what this is gonna. I mean, we look at the 2016 election. We had 17 people running for the Republican ticket, and there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of little hands and thirsty people and all the different stuff that went back, the colorfulness it had. And I just kind of wonder what the other side's gonna be like, because really the Democrats they had Hillary and no one was even going against her, and Bernie tried to, and the DNC shut him down essentially. But there's Beto O'Rourke, there's Ocasio-Cortez, there's Biden, there's Booker, there's Harris, they are just racking and stacking. And I'm wondering, what are they going to do to try to convince their base and the country, I guess, for the most part, or majority of the country, to vote for them? Are they going to try to show themselves who's the most liberal, the most farthest to the left? Or are they going to try to win by saying they're willing to work and truly be bipartisan, which I think would be the right recipe to have? But I just wonder how are they going to outdo each other to be the most liberal they can be, or win the most liberal, and what that's going to look like, and because they have one common enemy, right? If President Trump runs again and all that stuff, it's going to be him, but they got to fight themselves first.
So
and will it start in February 2019? I guess it has. Elizabeth Warren's already kicking it up, drinking.
I already have the black lung thinking about it. Yeah, no, Big Daddy Diata, 2020, but I think part of it is obviously the following that Bernie Sanders had in the previous election cycle was very telling. it spoke about how the younger voters, I don't want to say millennials because I think that's an overused term, and I don't think it quite encapsulates the actual generation that it represents. I think there's people that feel both ways. I mean, I guess technically I'm a millennial and I'm 43.
Mm.
So I clearly don't feel the way they do. But maybe I'm XY or X or M. I don't know. Who cares? XM radio. But I think because of the way Bernie brought people together and some of the things, some of the issues that he brought, uh, if he's not a viable candidate, which I I honestly don't think he's a viable candidate. Mainly on he's just unmarketable.
You talking
He's
about Bernie?
yeah, he's too comedic with the way he talks. It's he doesn't come off as authentic. He comes off as outlandish. So he's a tough sell. And so some of the things that the DNC were saying about him, is actually true in terms of him being a marketable. But he has these platforms that people really adhere to. So I think you'll see people like, Cortez. I don't, I think she's egotistical enough to try, but the the party needs to get somebody that is actually a solid person, that's a solid representation. I think, it's probably in their best interest to include someone like Tulsi Gabbard out of Hawaii on the card. You have a female veteran. She's super intellectual, very smart, has good progressive policy that's not scary. Like she's not promising away things that she cannot. Uh, and if they bring someone like that in to like kind of balance out, some of the craziness, um,
But you're
you
looking
know,
at it from a someone that would look at it um, unbiased or really
yeah.
smartly. They're going to look at what's going to get them the most dollars in the purse at the
Well,
fundraisers.
I mean,
Right.
if they're looking at what's going to put dollars in the purse, I mean, we're looking at uh, Obama 2.0, which is Beto.
Right.
I mean, 69 million that they pushed to him to lose in Texas. $69 million to lose a senator's race in Texas. Um, that
Yeah.
I
I mean
mean
that's
that's
that
Texas.
or Harris or Booker, right? That's who they're
Yeah,
gonna.
I don't know. I don't know about Harris and Booker, like all their showboating and all their, trying to grab attention and
But you
antics.
gotta look at what the left likes. The left likes smooth talking, good looking people that the young voting, the mobilizing millennials want someone that they can be their voice, that they can relate to, and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff, right?
Well, and that's Beto.
Right.
Booker, his highlight reel is him, with very well rehearsed snippets, attacking people on the stand that can't fight back.
Right.
And for some that they might call that heroic, but that's parlor room bullying.
Yeah.
And when you have to stand in front of somebody and debate and actually defend yourself to them, where they
With
can actually respond to you, uh, guys like that, gals like that kind of fall off. That's why I think, someone like Tulsi Gabbard, who really is intellectual and can back it up, like, is not someone that is going to promise you free pizza and no homework if she's running for class president.
right.
And the
But you brought up one thing. Bernie there is kind of not being. I wonder though how much of a threat someone in the DNC or wherever and the powers behind all that see him, because all of a sudden in the last 2 days all these news stories come out and they're getting carried as front headline news about the amount of assaults and attacks and all this stuff that happened inside his campaign, and he's apologizing and saying I didn't know and all this stuff. I almost take it like when we've seen it before. People shape the narrative. There's powers that shape the narrative to manipulate opinion the way they want. We see it all the time. And it's like they're trying to mute him right up front and remove him from a possibility, is the way I take it. And maybe that sounds kind of conspiracy-ish, but it's like no one's ever talked bad about him. No one said anything. It was always done behind the scenes and the whole DNC thing. But it's like now when people are, the new Congress is in place, there's no other politics to happen now except for 2020 at this point because the midterms are over. It's like, let's neutralize him right now.
Yeah. I think when you look at highlight reels, it doesn't reflect well. And when you have that much dirt, there's some things like Beto O'Rourke, he was able to overcome burglary charges, DUIs. And that's because, a lot of people are sympathetic to smaller mistakes like that. Using congressional money to pay off a sexual harassment, sexual misconduct claim, now in the age of Me Too, that's going to be harder, especially when people start talking back and being able to debate that. When you're questioning somebody like he was questioning Kavanaugh and going at someone like the way he went at him, you have the luxury of not having him retort with your personal issues. So you can slander and smear and, defame and do all the things that you want to do to somebody else. And they can't retort with anything personal towards you. They can only answer the questions. When you get into a public forum, you got to answer for that stuff.
Right.
And when the Me Too supporters get a hold of that. When I say the Me Too supporters, I mean the people that are militant against any form of, patriarchy. His credibility is gone, absolutely gone. So it's cool. It's kind of like, a lot of people were like, well, we'd like to see Trey Gowdy on the, the conservative side. Like when all your highlight reels are certain things, like you don't win a presidency off a highlight reel shtick. And, just like, Alan West learned, you get reelected on a highlight reel shtick. Great guy, great platforms, great American, super intellectual, well-read, learned, with a
right.
wonderful history. But like you don't, the American political process is no longer looking at, the 55 to 75-year-old voter.
Right.
They are mobilizing the 18 to 26-year-old voter as much as they can, and then having them trying to influence their peer groups and their bosses at work, just like they're trying to influence the kids in the schools to influence the parents at the polls. Like we're seeing children mobilized and weaponized in politics more than we ever have. And I think that it's going to need someone that is Barack-ish in the sense that, he was able to convince people that, I was going to give you health care for all. Right. He promised that. I mean, he promised he was going to shut down Gitmo. Signed a thing is very, very
day one, I think, right?
Day one, executive order, Gitmo closed.
It's still there.
I think it's still open, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that wall's going to go up before Gitmo closes because he doesn't. The president does not seem to be. We are almost 2 weeks into this shutdown, which really couldn't happen at a better time because, as you and I both know, and if I offend you because you work for the government, well, you just need to be honest with yourself. Between Thanksgiving and Martin Luther King Day, it's called the government coma for a reason. They pretty much went back to work.
Yeah.
As you know, my work, a lot of customers of mine are government customers, and there's a number that are still not back to work yet that aren't in the shutdown mode. They don't come back till about next week, maybe the week after. But yes, it's so as far as the impact, the Christmas break is there's pretty much nothing happening. But now that it's back in and everything's going on, it doesn't seem to be from the reports that came out of yesterday, and I guess there's going to be tried another meeting tomorrow. The president he's not going to have a George Bush moment. He's not going to do the read my lips and then go back on it. It does not appear. It seems like he's
No,
for that.
I watched his press conference today, which I thought was really interesting
when
because
he showed up
he just like kind of busts in there like, hey, y'all are in my house. I'm gonna say some words, and then I'm gonna ask these men to say some words.
A whole bunch of good-looking bald men behind him. There's a lot of baldness going on.
I typically, like now that I'm back in the man side with hair, where I had a little bit of bald envy. I was like, man, there's a lot of baldness back there, but he's focused on the task. And I had a wonderful conversation with someone the other day, and I was very flattered that they were asking my opinion about the immigration situation, the wall, and asking my perspective as an immigrant. He's focused on the task, and the people that he brought out today are the subject matter experts on that. And one of the guys actually made the comment. He's like, people keep referring to so-called experts on this problem. They are not us. We are the actual so-called experts. And we want this. And the rank and file agree with the steps that are being taken and do it. The amount of money people are talking about really is inconsequential. Like, how much? We could probably, if we had a producer, we could have him like Googling it super fast. How much was spent? How much taxpayers' money were spent on football stadiums in the last 3 years?
Right.
And I bet you we're like over the number. How much was spent on, taxpayers on recreational real estate? And I bet we would be over that number easily. The number people are trying to pump and say, oh, it's all about like, that's way too much money. And you're like, it's really not that much money at all in comparison to the bigger picture, in comparison to what the problem costs us, a physical barrier and what it does. If these experts are saying this is what it is, I think we should at least give them the benefit of the doubt. He's not saying anything that hasn't been said by 3 to 4 to 5 administrations on both sides of the aisle. He's the one making it happen. It's kind of like Jerusalem. Everyone kind of says these things, and now all of a sudden it's like it's actually happening. People are like, but like I shared with the good friend of mine that asked me my opinion, I simply asked the question in response. Do you want to know about the problem, or do you want to know about the hype? Right. And most of this isn't directed about immigration. This has nothing to do with what the actual issue is. It has to do with him. Right. And more people are focused on him, like, I'm shutting down the government. Well, that's what's happening.
Rob's bucking to be a producer job. He said $3.2 billion subsidized on stadiums since 2000.
Yeah, well, there you go. And that's the NFL, right? Yeah. That's a losing venture.
Yeah.
But
you look. I mean, now the president did tweet that he only wants $5.7 billion, $150 billion a year. He says to pay for all the illegals that have come in. Now, I don't know if that's factual or not. I don't know if that's a solid number. I would think it sounds about right, because when you think about the number of people that come in, they're taxing our healthcare system because they're not paying for insurance. And when they have medical issues, it's going to be paid for, and the taxpayer pays it. It doesn't just doctors don't do it for free. They're taxing our utilities, our infrastructure, and
Yeah.
everything else, and our entitlement program, biggest than anything. The biggest expenditure our government has the entitlement program, welfare, food stamps, free clinics, all that kind of stuff. So with the hundreds of thousands or more that have come in, that's probably about right.
No, like shout out to Joellen. She's commenting on one of the chats. I'm not sure. I don't see it in this one right here, but I just put over the last 20 years, the American public has spent more than $7 billion to build or renovate NFL stadiums. With
Yeah.
like taking on 46% of the total costs. Like so if you're knocking on the door and people are like, oh, it's just a bond, no big deal. But now, like people, they're focused on the person, not the issue,
Right.
and they, you know, it's interesting. I'm not a fan of this guy. I'm saying that on the record, uh, and that's Brian Colfage. He's a junior enlisted member that was in the Air Force that got hit by a mortar in Iraq early on in the war and is a triple amputee. He started the GoFundMe, to help Trump build the wall. Uh, the amount of people throwing dollar bills at it,
Yeah, how's that
like
doing now?
their own
I
dollars,
haven't checked that recently. How's that doing?
I think it's like 19 plus million or something like that. Um, like uh, like that should speak volumes. Like, you know, that's when you're dropping dollar bills into something, your own dollar bills,
Right.
uh, that should speak volumes. Now, like I said, and I want it on the record, I am not a fan of Brian Colfage. The but and what I mean by that is like he does not represent the veteran community in its entirety, and I don't personally think he represents it very well. But like good for him for utilizing his injury to like you know sell shamelessly whatever he wants to. Uh, but when you look at that, I mean that's crazy. Like $19 million in just a matter of weeks.
Right.
Now, the money can't actually be, like probably should have done the research beforehand. Probably should have figured out that you can't just like start a GoFundMe and then, like send that money to do it. So that, that'll probably be the largest refund in the history of GoFundMes. But,
Yeah, what can you do with that? Can you just like go down and say I got these guys, I got their lunch. I'll pay for all the
yeah,
construction dudes' lunch and breakfast and dinner.
like like that's undue influence, man. The typical private thing to do, but uh, the amount of money that people are throwing at it is,
it shows the passion, though. It shows
yeah,
it's
it
not a
does.
few people. We'd have to go look. I don't know if someone wants to go look. But I mean, the last time we talked about this 2 weeks ago,
I bet you it's a million people. I bet
a
you
couple
people
weeks
are
ago, it
just,
wasn't that many. It was
yeah,
upwards of 10 million, and it was 1,000 something. I think it was 4 digits, and it was like there's some people throwing some bucks at this. Right before Christmas. That's people are passionate about this. It's not a red hat inspired, racist, Islamophobic, whatever all stuff. This is a problem that American people all over this country see, right? And like Rob said, it is a statement. It is not a minority. To say that to be against it or talk down to it or not want to offer some kind of solution like Schumer and Pelosi are doing and just say you represent the majority, you absolutely don't, because any politician would do anything to raise the kind of money this is raised, right?
yeah. Hire Rob, would you? Because like that dude's on top of it.
Rob, you're hired.
Three,
We'll match your pay to mine and Toby's, so you make what
yeah,
we make.
yeah. You'll get a lot of great T-shirts.
Yeah, we'll get you
The
some great Enlisted 9 shirts.
like, yeah. I mean, that's 311,000. I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
I don't know. I'm gonna give Rob another
that's
challenge.
strong.
I don't know if you took 18.8 million divided by 311,000. What's that average per person? I don't want to ask Siri right now, but I bet Ask Rob would be just as good as Siri. Probably faster. as he's cranking out the calculator, or whoever.
But it's actually a strong statement, and I I hope no matter what, like when this all shakes out, that we look at it as what the actual issue is.
Yeah.
The issue is not a man. The issue is a secure border.
Right.
Uh, you know, drugs find their way into our streets, into our children's bodies, into our peers' bodies, into our parents and friends and relatives' bodies.
Just the crime itself, just the
The
the, the,
the
the
crime
shooting
that
of a police
happens.
officer for no reason. All this stuff. The shooting
You
of
know,
the of Steinle, Kate Steinle on the right in San Francisco. Right. I mean, just
yeah,
all done by illegals.
yeah. Obviously, these are larger, more polarizing.
But how many are
it,
below that we never hear about?
right. And like I get it. I'm all about immigration. If it wasn't for immigration, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to come to this great country. I would not have had the opportunity to serve this nation. I would not have the opportunity to have, my children enjoying the Bill of Rights. We were talking about freedom of speech over the holidays, and some family, member conversations, and people, even in my own family, assume that there is freedom of speech globally. And they don't understand that there is not freedom of speech guaranteed in even Canada, Great Britain, some of our closest allies and countries that we are so closely mirrored to, but we took a step away from in these small steps of the political process so that we could have these things. And that's, the very first thing protected in this country is the freedom of speech, the freedom to think and feel what you want and express it, the freedom to worship and practice your religion as you see fit, and the freedom of the press, the freedom to report on the government without fear of retribution.
Right.
And, Canada is experiencing some things right now where the press doesn't have some of the liberties that the press in the U.S. have. The press is definitely feeling that in the United Kingdom. I was went for my obligatory New Year's Day motorcycle ride, which I confess might have been the stupidest thing I've done in a while. Um, you
Yeah.
know,
A little chilly down there.
BBC
A little chilly down there in
BBC have been
Tejas.
it was not wise. BBC have been censoring programming for decades. This and it's not new.
Right.
And so we need to remember that this is a culture. It's a way of life, and we need to protect it. And part of the way of protecting that is to stand up for certain things. And some of these things are securing it.
Right.
We wouldn't have the things that we have, and we need to stop looking at it as like this is an attack on this. It's like, do you want this or you don't? And let's pull the person away from it, and let's look at what the actual real issue is, and go from there. But these polarizing cases, on both sides, like the valedictorian that's, given the speech and, confesses that, she's lived in fear all her life because of her family situation, that's as scary and as troubling as you look at, Kate Stanley. We have to find the medium. But one thing we have to do is know that, our kids have a chance. And,
Right.
when it comes to the war on drugs, that's being fought at the border.
Right.
With the war on human trafficking, we got great organizations out there like the E3 Foundation that's working against the war on trafficking. You got Ashton Kutcher with his company. I apologize for not remembering its name, but the millions and millions and millions of dollars that they've invested in the last couple of years, trying to, protect, the human slave trade.
Right.
We have to do something about it. And
And not having a wall, not having, a process. That's what gets me is anyone that wants to have that argument. I just sit there and go, then just unlock all your doors in your house and unlock your car. Just I mean, trust everyone. Like, it's okay, it's cool. That's all you have to. To me, that's the only argument there to have. Just why do you lock your doors? Why do you have? Why does every movie star, politician, A-list or whatever have big walls around their compounds and this and that, whatever? For a reason, for your security. This country is our house. It is those of us that live here. It's our house. There's a reason why we have that. You're welcome to come in, use the front door. Don't bust through the back window, right? Don't climb on the roof and kick in my kid's window. Come through the way you're supposed to. Knock on the door. Maybe show up with a dish, right? Maybe be invited.
Now, the biggest thing is if what you're doing isn't working, you should probably try something else. Right. We have amazing virtual technology. We have some of the most impressive virtual technology that it's hard to explain what we have, because unless you witness it in action, it's mind blowing. But the bottom line is, even with all this this virtual net and all this technology, we can't physically stop the flow of drugs and personnel coming across the border. I've been in South Texas, even recently, hunting and, seeing, people, making the runs. This is, and it doesn't matter if you call it in or not, it's just like, it's so porous.
When our National Guard down there, they just sit there and watch. They can't do anything. They just report it. Because 5 more comes 10 more.
Yeah, and if you put a physical barrier in locations, that require it, you're gonna slow it down, right. And that's, don't listen to me. Listen to the experts. Some
bald dudes, dudes today. Not this one, not that one.
But if you're tweeting a picture of some pristine land in the northern border between British Columbia and Washington State, or Alberta and Montana and Idaho, and you're like, well, are we going to put a wall and disturb this beautiful earth? Like, well, if need be, I guarantee Canada would. And that's, like, people are like, oh, we're like sending a bad signal to the rest of the world. It's like, are we? Like, we're kind of behind the rest of the world when it comes to immigration. Like, everyone's like, well, we're the leaders, we're progressive. Like, no, like, you're horribly ill-informed.
Right.
Trying to immigrate to Australia, trying to immigrate to Canada, trying to immigrate to Mexico.
Right. Like you and I talked about this before. Try to get into Canada. People always say, oh, I'm going to run to Canada, like they're going to, run away from the war.
Yeah, how'd Chelsea Manning do with that?
Right. Or like when the last election happened, right? All those people in Hollywood said they were going to Canada and none went. And I remember that burned you because you were like, why does everyone think it's so easy to get in Canada, right? And you're right. Even with Australia, it is not easy to get into Australia. It is, you follow the process. There's a process. Yeah. Buy the right visa for the right reasons, which are really most of the countries. Yeah. If you're coming there, there's visa requirements, there's applications you have to go through. You just don't show up, right? Yeah. Guess what? Try to go in Canada if you've had a DUI in the U.S. in the last 7 years. You can't
even go on vacation.
You can't even go in Canada. They're not going to let you cross the border in Canada if you've had a DUI in the U.S. in the last 7 years. Yeah. Not going to let you in. And we don't block people from coming in if they've had DUI in the U.S., right? It is everyone else has this. It's just in our country they make it an issue, like we're this lone wolf. We're this one that doesn't want to get along with anyone else and all that kind of stuff. Let me tell you, Toby, you know this better than most. You go to Europe or Australia or that area over there, anywhere like that, especially all over Europe. The politically correct isn't even in their vocabulary. They're the most what we would call un-PC people you've ever met. They use
racist.
They use the worst racist slang to each other's faces about each other's backgrounds and demographics, and use some.
Should we talk about the Balkans? Like,
yeah.
And they weren't even just saying things to each other. They were like, I'm going to wipe your seed from the earth.
Yeah. Like the snowflake doesn't even hit the ground. The snowflake melts at 30,000 feet. It doesn't even get close to it. So if you think we're this terrible, big, ugly country that is has this isolationist attitude and all this kind of stuff, you are really showing your ignorance of what the rest of the world is like, because they look at us and laugh. They really do. They look at us and go, what is wrong with that country? Not that it's not a great place to live. We all know it is because everyone's trying to get here. Obviously, that's why we're talking about immigration. If we were such a bad place, no one is trying to sneak into Mexico. Nobody's trying to sneak into Honduras or Venezuela, right? Or Afghanistan, unless they're trying to go there to do bad things. But they're not trying to go there and build a better life. They're trying to come here and do it. So we're not that bad of a place. Just use that in your perspective. Or when you're talking to your friends or neighbors or family, and they want to have this conversation. Maybe some did over the holidays. I know some people that tried to start stuff. Just say that. Say, if we're so bad, why is everyone trying to come here? And, have you looked at how the rest of the world acts and looks and thinks about us? Not what the media says, but how real people do.
Yeah, no, quick little shift though, because we brought something up and it reminded me, earlier, in 2018, last year, I guess we can say that now.
Oh, real quick before you go, I want to say welcome to Colton Smith, who joined. Colton is one of the founding members of
the myth, the legend.
Yeah, our big sponsor in Listen 9 Fight Company. So I wanted to give Colton a quick shout out.
Shout out.
Yep.
He was going to come by and pick me up the other day, and drive me around for New Year's, but he no-showed. Apparently he was in Virginia with his family or something. It was awkward.
That's important.
Left Oliver and I here alone by ourselves. But so Chelsea Manning last year in 2018 tried seeking entrance into Canada and got denied because when trying to cross the Canadian border, the Canadian border security identified that she had a criminal record. He had a criminal record, whatever, and was like, sorry, as a result of you being tried for, and convicted of treason in your country, you are not welcome in ours. She felt like
I also got blocked from New Zealand, but then I think they let him in. I think they let him in after a while. But and it was funny because like all great people of this generation, they took the cause straight to social media, to seek help and to seek sympathy. Today, or within the relatively recent past, said person, Manning, suggested that we abolish the office of the presidency. And so we should stop, focusing our efforts on, this fight and that fight and all the money that was saved from, campaigns and all that stuff. We should put into doing good programs, and then, the people would actually be governed by the people. And we should abolish who's going to govern
office of the. There was no answer to that. No. But the bottom line said we should abolish the office of the president.
I think Manning and Ocasio-Cortez should run together. They should. Right.
So if it wasn't for a president, you would still be in prison.
That's good point. Touche. Yes.
You wouldn't even be on Twitter. You would have nothing if it wasn't for a president.
You'd be getting tweeted. You'd be getting tweeted, all right.
Yeah, Congress put you to war there, young man / woman, not a president. And then you sold, secrets, committed treason, got convicted of it, and it was a president that saved you from having to serve all of your sentence. You were not pardoned, you were commuted. And that person's calling for the abolishment of that office.
Man, where do the Mannings, David Hoggs, and Ocasio-Cortez
I just want to be if you feel so strongly that we should abolish the presidency, then maybe you should go back to prison.
Right.
Just like you said, if you think we should have open borders, you should take the locks off your doors. The concept is the same. It's not a notional, fictional statement. It is what it is. If you think that we should be welcoming to anything and everything, then you should be welcoming to anything and everything. If you think we should abolish the office of the president, then you should go back to prison because it was a president that pardoned you.
Yeah.
And that's my my irony for the day.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I did not hear about that, but that is
and And
Yeah.
Rob's on there going, maybe we should, like pay, Canada to take him. Uh, no, man, Canada's got enough problems.
Yeah.
Canada's the birthplace of Justin Bieber. All right, like they got their hands full. Rob, be
Isn't
like,
he married now? Is he? What happened? Isn't he married like normal or whatever? Or no?
what?
I don't know. I don't know. Don't pay attention.
Like,
I
yeah,
bet you know what Manning should go down to, maybe he could help build the wall or something. He could go down there. But someone brought up earlier about having the military build the wall. That's an idea I kind of thought maybe they should move the engineer school from Fort Lawson to Woods, Missouri, to Fort Huachuca, and then they start having young engineers, 12 Bravos and stuff, privates and stuff like that.
for your FTX.
Yeah, that's your exercise.
Your
Hey,
culmination exercise.
you
Will
got
be,
this
you will
one.
struck.
You got this one panel, 30-foot high. It's got to be sunk in the ground. All the stuff we taught you. You pass this. You just do your AIT. Do your passing review right inside the wall. Right. Do it right there in the desert. Hey, you built a piece of the wall. You own that. Get your picture. Maybe put their class up there. That every graduating class is a motto or a saying or a mascot. They can paint it. Put their like all the rocks outside of NTC. Like they all put their own logos and stuff on it. It could be very colorful.
You can road march to it.
You could, yes, you could, and they could build. They should move that. They want to save money. They want to build a wall. Move the engineering school down there. Have them do it. Joanne, yeah, I move some.
Yeah,
The
the
Seabees. Seabees can move theirs.
yeah.
They can move theirs to San Diego, and they
The
start
Seabees
there.
will probably do a better job than the Army engineer. I'm just saying.
Maybe, yeah. The Seabees could start in San Diego. The Army could start in Arizona. The Marines, well, I don't know that. I don't know what the Marines do. They could start in Texas. We'll see how that goes. The Air Force,
They can start. They can start in California.
Okay, and just see how it goes. That's an idea. And as far as the 20 million the guy raised, the 19 million, then what I think they should do is just cost that out and say, hey, that would build 200 feet of it, and say government just don't have to build that piece. We're just going to privatize that, right? We're going to a contractor's going to build that. They could put the 20 million and build whatever, how many feet of the wall they need. It just has to meet those specs. It can be done, but the engineering school down there, we could make it happen for sure. Yeah. And you could easily see Mexico pay for it because they're going to keep all their people in because they won't be able to come across here. So it is interesting though that the Mexican president is now is now kind of aligned with the president. Our president, the Mexico president, is kind of supporting him. And you don't hear much about Vicente Fox here telling our president to F off and this and that and all that kind of stuff. This new guy is kind of marching in tow. So it's interesting to see how that's going to turn out. Yeah, we got a big year in front of us, Toby. 2019.
We do, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be one of the best years yet. Excited for the show. Excited for some of the things that are coming up. I know we've been saying that for a while, but
but we get some good stuff. We're gonna have the Jimbo back on. Speaking of Jimbo, I don't know if you read it. If you guys haven't, you guys know Jim Hansen. We've had him on here a number of times. If you don't know, Jim is the president of the Social Security Studies Group. And if you haven't done it, I would say go up and check out thefederalist.com. That's a blog online media that they produce. Jim is very well connected to things in the Middle East and all things national foreign policy. I don't know if you saw it yet or Toby not, but he wrote up a piece about Khashoggi. Remember the guy Khashoggi that was killed in the Turkish and the Saudi embassy?
Yeah, in the embassy.
Right. Remember when that was hot news? It's all gone now, right? We don't talk about it.
Yeah, well, I believe there's a conspiracy there, but yeah.
So Jim broke the news that on this Federalist site, on his site that they develop out of the Security Studies Group, that Khashoggi was a foreign influence agent for Qatar. And was responsible. It was an agent helping spread narrative, and was being paid by the Qatar Foundation to do stuff against Saudi Arabia. So it's
I thought for sure that there was something, when I say conspiracy, like a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And that not like UFO type conspiracy,
right.
But you don't, like what's that in there, that Mark Wahlberg movie, 19 Mile or whatever it's called,
right.
22 Mile.
Right.
Where they, they're in the embassy and like a hit goes down. where an attempted hit goes down. Like, I mean, that was a little prophetic, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The
We
no,
get
like you got to believe like people are ballsy enough to do that, and you got to believe that governments are ballsy enough to do that in their own house.
right, right.
Like,
So yeah, if you go read it, Jim published it on December 27th on his site on thefederalist.com. Go check it out. It's a very interesting read. I mean, this is not just stuff he made up in his head. He's got sources and facts, and he does his homework research. If you've been watching the show for a while, you know we've had Jimbo on a few times. He's an old friend of mine and Toby's. We go way back with him, back to his oboe playing days in the 82nd Airborne Band. I say it sarcastically. He was actually Special Forces, first Special Forces group. But yeah, go check that out. A lot of stuff happened over the holidays. We were kind of focused on the holidays. So just stay aware, I guess. Stay tuned in. Read news. Make your own decision. Make up your own mind. Don't believe the hype. Don't fall for whatever's being shoved down your throat. Because then you're just going to follow what you're just going to do and march along like the children into the meat grinder in Pink Floyd's The Wall. That's all you're going to do. So I did all kind of throwbacks there. Toby, anything else you want to cover before we let everyone go? We've been going for a little while. I will also say real quick before I turn it over to you, for those that are listening on our audio only, I'm sorry you came in late around the 40-minute mark because we got the show going. I was all excited about show 151. And I forgot to hit the broadcast on Spreaker, which feeds a lot of our audio outlets. So I screwed that one up. So if you are listening to this after the fact and you're going, I kind of came in right in the middle of a conversation, I feel like I missed something, that would be why. It's because I hosed that one up. And I'll do push-ups after the show because I own that. So, Toby, anything else you want to cover before we go?
Yeah, that's sorry about the Bush League producing there. Not you, Rob.
This one.
Rob's totally hired.
The one that does it every week and still can't do it right. Yeah.
I'm excited about the year. It's going to be a great year. Some wonderful things happening, personally, professionally, and I'm excited to unveil some of those here coming up. January's a tough month for us, though. I have a ton of travel in January, as do you.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we will. What date is it? We will definitely not be here January 24th. So I'll tell you right now that January 24th will be there'll be no show that night. We'll announce it a couple more times between now and then, but there will be a couple other dates. Ooh, I keep hitting the mic. A couple other dates that Toby's gonna miss. I'll be here probably with a special guest host. One may be listening right now. We may have on. But yeah, so we will. Yeah, January's tough.
Yeah, so bear with us. We're gonna come into February like a wrecking ball, and that'll be great. Maybe a little Miley Cyrus.
I just had this whole Miley Cyrus image when you said that. I just saw you on a wrecking ball, just naked, just swinging back and forth,
dude.
With your hair flowing in the.
No, the flow, bro. Man, I love it in hockey where I'm like, I gotta put it back so I can get my helmet on in hockey. Like, it's delightful. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. I got nothing else. I'm excited.
Follow us on our socials: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Share the show. We appreciate it. Well, bring some new people in 2019. Bring a new person to the show. We'd love. We had great numbers tonight. A lot of people tuning in and listening. We appreciate everyone that did. And if this is one of your first times watching the show or listening to the show, please go back and listen to any of our past ones. You can get links to them from stuandthenunn.com. And some more exciting things coming up with the show. As Toby said, with our website, maybe some new sponsors. We're maybe get back to some giveaways. We were doing some giveaways back last year. We did some giveaways here a couple months in a row. Maybe get back to some of those. So again, thank you guys. Toby, great seeing you again, brother. Happy New Year. And really look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. So,
yes, we're gonna be together.
That's right. We may do some Instagram stuff where we're
not gonna hug it out.
We're not hug it out. Yeah, we're not gonna do a show, but I think we'll do. What do you say? I think we'll do some Instagram, maybe some Facebook Live or something. Just some quick little.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll do some stuff. That's right. It'll be impromptu. So stay tuned to our socials: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and we'll look for you guys there. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. Everyone have a good night. Thanks for welcoming us into your homes, into your lives, and welcome to 2019. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Stu and the Nunn Radio. We hope you enjoyed your time with us because we have enjoyed sharing our time with you. Be sure to check out stewandthenunn.com in addition to asking us questions and interacting with us on our Facebook page and Twitter. We look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on Spreaker and Facebook Live. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Warrior Media Solutions, PoohHammer.com, Veteran Outdoors, Graybeard Publishing, and Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Thank you again, and have a good night.